Special program under the Polycon. Today, this is the time. Once again, we are having guests before you. You're welcome, Honorable BANYENZAKYI Henry. You're welcome, Honorable OGUZU DANIS. They will introduce themselves in a few minutes to come. But allow me to first introduce the very statement of our discussion, which will drive us to where we want to go as a country, and basically for the improvement of the economic well-being of our people. Tonight, we will have the analysis of trade business crisis and its effects on the livelihoods of the people and our economic growth. Dear viewers, once again, you're welcome. Our guests from the right, please, you can introduce yourself.
Thank you, Joseph, for this wonderful opportunity. Dear viewers, good evening. It's an honor to be here to be deliberating on how our trade systems work and to see how we can shape our trade policies and business environment so that we're able to propel our country forward by means of growing our GDP and ensuring that the wealth is equally distributed across the country. So I'm really honored to be part of the discourse.
Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you, brother, for giving me this honor to come and share what I have, the wisdom that God gave me small as is with Ugandans, and I'm glad to be here. As you know, I can see another Shaka Sally made in Uganda now.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Must have inspired you. Thank you very much. I'm delighted to be here.
Thank you so much. We will have a series of discussion in an analytical point of view, but with a focus to see how best we can address the current challenges affecting our country. Dear ladies and gentlemen, our fellow countrymen and women, when we talk about trade, business crisis, one who is viewing us over there, you may ask yourself, which crisis are we talking about? To just highlight the state of our economy, we come to realize that the World Bank report brings it to us that even before the COVID-19 pandemic, Uganda was reducing in terms of its growth, in terms of its economic growth. Looking at a number of issues that has emerged, our state of economy, basically looking at the high rate of unemployment, the increasing inequality with many not being included in the economic growth process, high rates of poverty. At the rate where we are, Uganda, we are standing at 41% of our people who are living under poverty. We will come up with an analysis and reflect our country and other countries, how they have gone ahead in terms of our GDP, because we are looking at where we are expected to be. And I'm blessed to be with our dear guests, Honorable OGUZU. This is a member of parliament, and in most cases who has been able to be part of the people, to be part of the legislatures, who look at and measure and assess, analyze how best have we achieved the National Development Plan, especially to remove our people from the rate of this high rate of poverty. And I'm also privileged to be with Honorable BANYENZAKYI Henry in the great sub-region of Kigezi. He is used to be called, and is still being called, Ntunguka, meaning development. Yet, we continue to realize that the dream of the whole holistic development of our country is still lacking. Ladies and gentlemen, we are again reflecting on the view, it's of recent, even on parliamentary floor, there have been a outcry for the high rise of prices for commodities. And I've not checked of now, but it's known to us that a bar of soap had hiked the price to 7,000 shillings, 10,000, around there. And we refer this as a crisis. Comrades, we know very well that in some countries, when we go back to history of revolutions, a mere price of rise up of prices of bread, they steered up onto revolutions. But we are not saying that Uganda, we are going for another revolution again, but we are saying, how can we make our country better from where we are? COVID-19 is normal. The economy is open up. We believe that it's normal because we are working hard to make sure that we do not suffer from it again. Our economy was locked for 3 years. It is a state of a crisis that must go now to a level of economic recovery. Thank you so much. Back to you, Honorable OGUZU. Please kindly give us your opinion and analytical view that can shape our next level of our economic growth. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Joseph, I think this is a matter which you've invited us to timely deliberate on. Indeed, the country is in crisis. You've just mentioned that we are living in a situation of skyrocketing prices. The price of basic commodities are shot up beyond the affording capacity of many average families. We also know that Uganda's balance of trade has not been promising. We're in trade deficit. That means we import more than we could sell. There's a problem of unemployment, and that tells you about the state of the economy. If you look at our interest rates vis-a-vis what is in the regional market, you will find our traders have to borrow at a much higher interest than what their counterparts elsewhere would borrow at. If you go into looking at our GDP, how it has grown over time, whereas we have maintained some stable GDP growth, this wealth has not been, as I indicated earlier, distributed evenly across the country. That's why now we have more people who have slid into poverty. We have a situation where we cannot create enough jobs to absorb the number of people who are in search of jobs. So these are all issues that we need to deliberate on if we are to propel our country forward into what we aspire to be, the middle income status. Recently there was a dawn of hope when the oil deal was sealed, the EACOP project and all that. The agreements were finally concluded. But that hope was again doomed when Uganda's case with DRC was resolved and we were billed about over $300 million. So that means there will be a tap into that resource. If you look at our infrastructure, the catalytic environment in which businesses are supposed to thrive, you will find there's still issue in the most productive areas where agricultural produce is supposed to get to the market. The state of roads is poor. So when the infrastructure is largely poor, people cannot access finances, capital cheaply, and you have an economy which cannot really produce enough jobs, then you would be right to conclude that there is a crisis. There's a crisis we should be managing, and this has been exacerbated by the COVID situation. You just saw we opened the economy a few days ago, but there are those sectors of the economy that are not yet fully opened. So all these have contracted our economy, and ideally we should have put in place policies that could stimulate productivity, policies that can stimulate, that could bring down the interest rates. We should put in place measures to open more markets. So all these things require multi-sectoral approach. They require input of the government. They require input from the private sector so that you have something collectively agreed on. And I think this kind of platform provides an opportunity for us to shape and hear from one another on how best the country can move together out of this crisis we're in.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Honorable. There has been a heated debate on parliamentary floor. But as we know very well, especially tonight, being blessed to be with you, and the viewers are very much expectant to hear from you and all of us together. There has been a heated debate. Why is it that there is serious skyrocketing of prices for basic commodities, which a person down there, our fellow citizen, are struggling to meet some of these, the purchase of these commodities from the market? Your grandmother down there, I call them grandmother, the old and young, they are struggling. And it is still not clear what the government, of which either you as a citizen and also as part of government, a legislator, what should be done best to shape and bring out a solution that will curb down this current challenge that we are facing?
Yeah, I think this would not be the first time the country is going through such difficult times. Certainly there are factors that have contributed to this, and we need to tap the problem right from the roots. And I'm not sure if our policymakers now clearly understand this, but these are, as I said, things we would need to deliberate on.
Thank you so much.
First, we need to look at what are the causes. And once we agree on the causes, then we can be able to find solutions.
Thank you.
You know, as a team. I would believe we're a team working for the country and in the best interest of the country and in the best interest of our people.
Thank you.
So the solution lies really in identifying what the causes are.
Thank you so much. We'll come back to you. Honorable BANYENZAKYI, please take us through in this discussion. You're welcome once again. How is Kigezi?
Oh, Kigezi is nice.
Okay.
Very nice. Fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Thank you once again. This discussion of trade crisis in Uganda and its implication on the livelihood of the people, I think it is timely. And he says it as a legislator when he was saying that he doesn't know whether the legislators, really, the policymakers who comes from that sector, whether I would presume that really they need to get this matter to the point because they are our leaders. So do we have a crisis as Uganda in trade, in our economy? Yes. And the crisis which we have has been triggered more by the COVID-19 pandemic, which we have had that lockdown for 2 years, or maybe even 2 years plus, because this has resulted into our economy shrinking, and it has resulted into the driving sectors of the economy, the sector that drive the business, the trade, shrink. Our industrial sector, which is currently at 28%, and the prime driver of the economy is shrinking. So is the service sector. We have lost tourism sector, for example. We are just trying to gain. We don't know whether we shall ever regain the level, when we shall regain the levels we are at again. The agriculture sector, which employs 68%, our export values dropped, and they dropped because our consumers of our agricultural products are basically from the industrialized nation that were hit most. So what we were exporting, like horticultural crops and other crops, it shrunk. So this has resulted into our economic growth, which was at 5% prior to COVID. It had to drop, and has dropped to 3%. And as a result, our target was 8% before COVID. So now we have to have a realistic target. So because of this, the goods that we're exporting in these nations also shrunk. When you look at what we were exporting to China, it shrunk. What we were exporting to Kenya. In China, before COVID, we were exporting $1.1 billion and shrunk. Kenya were exporting $809 million. In India, we're exporting $767 million. Those all, they shrunk. And when they shrunk, these exports, we find that even the imports, the import bill, the trade balance was came to $364 million. So this has resulted into a drop from the, like even the intra-trade that we were having, which was at $52 million, shrunk to $1,000, and we went to $59,000. All these impacts on our economy. The industrial sector shrinks, service sector shrinks, agricultural sector shrinks. That means loss of jobs, loss of revenue, loss of taxes, loss of government revenue, which means government cannot collect enough money to service its the service delivery. So therefore, we cannot build the roads we want to build. We cannot build the dams we want to build. We cannot build the school, the hospital, everything. As a result, we start relying on loans and grants which are not even going to come, loans which are going to put it into a loan trap. So because of that, the trade also, when you come up and you have the other, what is the encumbering trade here in Uganda. With COVID, you have roadblocks after roadblocks. Those are non-tariff barriers. You are having these vehicles, lorries coming from the border, from the coast to Uganda, not entering through these tests and what, and then this also brings into other complexities, the way we had the fuel crisis. So all these kind of things, they impact on us. You are talking about the skyrocketing of consumer goods. Definitely, with the rise of fuel, because of these non-tariff barriers, fuel is increasing. And as the fuel increases, definitely it has an effect on these consumers.
Honorable, I would like to pose a question to you.
It is, yes.
Yes, thank you for the explanation and the discussion, which is going on well. But we come to realize that there is a bigger perspective, a broader perspective, how we should approach this matter. We have here a research report which indicates that in Africa, among the first 6 countries, and this World Bank report 2015, Nigeria GDP is USA dollars 480.48 billion, is the first richest country. South Africa GDP is USA dollars 415.32 billion. And again, Egypt, the GDP is USA dollars 396.33 billion. Algeria GDP is 163.81 billion USD dollars. Morocco GDP is 126.04 USD dollars. The 6th one, which I'll stop at, they are about 10, is Kenya. The GDP of Kenya is USD dollars 109.49. And this is the recent report produced 2021, and the same countries, they also suffered from the challenges of COVID. But the Ugandan challenge which we are tackling today is that amidst the resources which are to our disposal, you're talking of minerals, we are talking about, we have a fertile land, and which is a greatest support in terms of improving our GDP. The agriculture, which is the main base, according to our National Development Plan, we are supposed to be excelling in agriculture, tourism, mineral oil and gas, infrastructure development, which we've talked about, and human capital development. It is still a paradox to many Ugandans. The youth are waiting to see how they can be a workforce, turning the youth around 70%, 15 years of age per Ugandan population, and the population of Uganda, as we are aware, we are facing a challenge of unemployment. And in order to have economic growth that can benefit our country, there are two things which are important to look at. Number one, the workforce, the growth in the size of workforce. Number two, the growth in productivity, output, the production, much as we've talked about the export, but our production rate is very low compared to the import. Honorable, in some 2 minutes, as from there we'll go for a break and come back. What exactly drives us to this? Just for some few minutes that have been given to look at how best we can also catch up like these countries which have gone ahead of us, yet they are also African in the context. Thank you.
That context you bring in of Nigeria, South Africa, Algeria, Kenya, Morocco, why have they grown? They were also affected, yes. Of course, the economy also shrunk. But of course, us in Uganda, we also have our inhibiting factors.
And by the way, ours is 32.50. 32.50 compared to the other billion US dollars.
Of course,
yes,
which is small.
Very small.
Why is it small? Bringing the political history, the political instability, which impacted on us. You have to take care of those 9 years, about 15 years. But again, we also have our issues of trade barriers that inhibits us. There's political uncertainty sometimes, but which is a debatable thing.
Thank you.
Corruption.
Yes.
These high levels of corruption. Okay? Our limited infrastructure. Where is the railway? These are the engines of growth.
The corruption here, it is being indicated that out of 180 countries,
where is the,
we are the 130th in terms of corruption.
You see?
Yes.
Where is the rail? Where is the infrastructure? Where is the railway? If you look at Kenya, if you look at these countries, their railway network is like a cobweb.
Okay, thank you.
When you look at the skills, the specialized skills in those countries,
yes, Honorable,
that they have, and compare them to us, our skills is border riding, and we are not shifting that kind. You have university students. The other day, yesterday, an engineer committed suicide in Murago for lack of job. You are having engineers going riding to borders. We are not using these specialized skills to where they should be going.
I appreciate your overview. Yes.
And the inefficient delivery of service, government services. That is implementation.
Yes.
What is our implementation rate of our project?
Okay, thank you, Honorable. We'll be coming back from the break and we proceed from there. But there is a lot which we need to look at so that we can shape even the direction of how best our policymakers should look into this so that we will no longer lament, but do it better and we be best like how others have progressed. Thank you so much.
Smart 24, driving business.